You're watching Inside Automotive with Jim Fitzpatrick.
Hey everybody, Jim Fitzpatrick. Thanks so much for joining me this morning here at CBT News. Where should dealers and sales teams be focusing their efforts to drive more success today? Joining us now is Alan Dickie, who's a speaker, sales trainer, automotive talent acquisition, founder of the Entrepreneurial Collective, and president of Alan Dickie Inc. to share his recommendations on how dealers can drive more traffic and put more money on the bottom line. So, Alan, thank you so much for joining us on the show. And by the way, I want to note, we were talking about this before we got recording, but this is your first appearance on CBT News. So welcome as a first timer. Appreciate you taking the time with us.
I appreciate you having me and looking forward to it. You've got a great network there, and always enjoy the value you bring to our community.
Well, good. Thanks for those kind comments. We try. So you're calling in today from Toronto, which we will get into in a minute there, because I think a lot of our viewers would love to hear how business is going in Canada and what they maybe even think of the U.S. market right now. I know there's some controversy out there, but let's start at the beginning here. What are some of the challenges right now that dealers are going through here in the U.S. With the state of the economy in kind of flux because of the tariffs that are on, they're off, they're doing all sorts of things. There's some uncertainty out there in the marketplace, and it's got dealers and OEM leaders concerned.
Yeah, you know what? I think we were talking a little bit earlier, and I love the expression, whether you think you can or whether you think you can't, you're right. I believe the only challenge out in the marketplace right now, or the only crisis, if we want to be extreme and call it that, is a crisis in thinking. You know, one of the things that I teach the dealers, businesses, and entrepreneurs that I do business with is everything is about understanding a series of fundamental laws. And when you do understand them, regardless of situation, there is an avenue to prosper. You know, regardless of tariffs, regardless of the economy, whenever value exceeds price, business gets done.
Yeah.
When you have instances like the tariffs and these things coming in to the marketplace, all it is presenting new challenges. And whoever decides to get focused on solving those challenges is the one who's going to prosper. I think the greatest example of this was when COVID blew into town. You had a majority of the market saying, oh my God, we're about to spontaneously combust and die. And then there was a few select of us that were like, no, these are just new challenges we're going to start solving. We did. And I believe it led to the most prosperous era in the automotive industry I've ever experienced while having breath in my lungs.
That's right. You're right about that. So positive mental attitude will get us through it is what you're saying, right? Not to worry.
Yeah, knowing how to handle these things and focusing on the things that are in your control, most definitely.
Yeah, for sure. Talk to us about what you're asking your dealers to focus on to really close more deals right now. Obviously, those customers that are either calling, clicking, or walking in the front door of a dealership, as you know, in the industry, we kind of had to go back and retrain a lot of our salespeople because they forgot how to sell during those months you were talking about during COVID. I've spoken to umpteen managers and dealers alike that said, man, our guys and girls forgot how to sell. So, but what are you telling your clients and your dealers now to really focus on to close more deals?
What's in their control? When you think about those past times we were speaking to, there's a law at play there. Good times create bad habits, right? And we experienced that. Now we're in a situation where many dealers are starting, or have been for some time, reacting to those good times not being as good as they were. And so now our skill sets need to sharpen up. We need to focus on what's in our control. What's in our control is the development of our teams. What's in our control is the experience we're delivering to our customers. I say to dealers all the time, I'll use a Ford store as example. When I go into every single Ford store across the continent that I work with, the colors are the same, the balloons are the same, the product's the same. And so I remind them, what is the one thing that you can offer the marketplace that nobody else on planet Earth can offer? And this is me speaking to the sales representatives. And the answer is themselves. Yeah. So understanding how to create value in them as an individual is what's going to separate them from the competition and ultimately allow them an opportunity to win the business. The customer's need, regardless of market, hasn't changed, right?
Yeah.
The guy who's got a landscaping company needs the Ford F-150 to function as a business and maintain profitability. Understanding the challenges that drove the market to your store, to that telephone call, and to that email, and then understanding that this is not about price, this is about solving those challenges, and that's how we're going to convert, is really the key things dealers and salespeople should be focusing on to maintain their production.
Sure. That we talk to a lot of dealers, and we often talk about this very topic. Should your lowest price be on your website, or should that be a price that still has gross left in it, and then therefore always trying to get that customer in, whether it be through the BDC or otherwise? If it was Alan Dickie Ford, would you have your lowest price marked from all of your cars on your website, or would that be, where would you start on that?
Yeah, so, I use a fishing analogy, if you will. I know it's illegal, but for the sake of the analogy, if I'm going to go out fishing and I want to maximize my opportunity, I'm going to put multiple rods in the water. Mm-hmm. Now, a lot of dealers are forced, due to the market condition that is the internet, to utilize what I refer to as one of the most horrendous lures, that is price. And that's the only way we're able to cast value out into a marketplace in some regions we otherwise would never reach, in order to make the phones ring, receive emails, etc. So to answer your question, yes, I would lean to aggressive pricing to capture that ilk of individual. Simultaneously, getting back to the fishing analogy and having numerous rods in the water, I would have a proactive approach from in the organization, top down, on how we're going to go out into the marketplace to find the customer before their inherently selfish challenge shows up that they're looking to solve. And there's an art to doing that. Social media affords us an opportunity like no other, which is why, for my clients anyway, we simply can't afford to have sales representatives not utilizing these tools that will allow us to sort of liberate ourselves from the cheapest customer in the marketplace. So to answer your question in short, yeah, I think for that avenue, aggressive pricing is a necessary evil. But I also think if you're building your business on that alone, it's going to be a tough day in the market for you.
Yeah, for sure. So let's drill down on what you just said about social media. Should every salesperson have a strong social media presence? And because some dealers are feeling as though, that I speak with, some say it's a great idea. We love it if we have 10 salespeople or 100 salespeople. We want them out there, reaching out into their communities and into their sphere of influence, if you will, with social media to bring more customers in, while others say, not so fast. They're kind of building their brand with, in competition of our brand. What is your take on that, and what's your suggestion to dealers with regard to social media?
Right away, I go back to the fundamental laws that I teach. I believe ignorance breeds anxiety. When you don't know what you're doing or how to do it, you're going to be less prone to want to do it. I also would share the law that anytime a human being is good at something, it's in their nature to perform it often. So what this comes down to is anybody who doesn't emphatically agree that this is a necessity, this approach, it simply comes down to their ignorance towards the approach. They don't know or understand how to do it. Use an analogy like this. Here we are on your network, an amazing network that reaches a lot of automotive dealers. Well, I'll use myself as an example. If I was looking to reach more clients like the dealers who tune into this station, and you said to me, Al, I love you, I believe in you, and I want to afford you opportunities to put commercials on my network as often as you like, and it's not going to cost you nothing because I just think you're great. When do you want to put a commercial on? I would answer, Jim, every single minute of the day, there could be a commercial on there. I want me and my message on it. Thank you so much for the support. Right. And everybody else would agree to this. Well, this is what social media is providing us, and not to utilize it is just insanity, in my opinion.
Yeah, no question about it. So you're pro, get your team on social media, help them with it, encourage them to do it, and maybe in some cases even mandate that they do it, right?
Well, yes. And here's the thing, though. The art to influencing people into action is just that. It's an art. So, what's important is I teach the dealers I do business with that this is not about them. If you think any sales representative is showing up to make money for ABC Motors every day and that gets their blood flowing, you need to give your head a shake. What we need to do is teach our sales representatives. There's an opportunity here. Regardless what you do in life, you're going to need a network of human beings, a power base, if you will, to sell and deliver your services to. Mm-hmm. So this automotive sales experience is one where it's like going to Harvard and getting paid to attend. When you make this its own baby for your individual sales representatives, you will not have to push, poke, or prod to see action in it. they will go knowing they're building something for themselves. Ultimately, it will lead to a top performing sales representatives or group thereof that will cause dealers to knock down a wall and create a new segment for them to operate under with repeat and referral business, or a natural progression. We're going to raise and develop entrepreneurs, people who know how to hunt. And there's going to be a day 5 or 10 years into their career where they're going to say, thank you, ABC Motors, for everything you taught me. I'm bringing back the pet rock, and I look forward to golfing with you on the weekends. And we can celebrate and applaud them while we bring in the next generation. It's like a cycle.
Yeah.
The problem is as businesses, we tend to think when somebody joins our organization, or some dealers do, that, well, they're lucky to be here and we'll have a gold watch for you in 30 years. This is simply not the case. So understanding the individual, catering to their inherently selfish desires as a natural human being is the key to getting them to move at great levels that serves them as well as the business they're working for.
In terms of recruitment of people and acquiring talent out there, are you in favor of hiring experienced automotive salespeople or people that have got no experience and you have the dealership train them in their style?
Well, experience is comparable to fashion, and what was practical and workable yesterday will be impractical and unworkable tomorrow. The thing about experience is it has value, but we can't overvalue it, because the law that I teach is simple. When you have experience doing things a certain way and your environment changes, your experience becomes your enemy. Mm-hmm. So there is a value to it, but it's not the be-all, end-all. What I like are energetic individuals looking to start new careers. Attitude is everything, hence my selling system, ACE, attitude, conviction, and energy. People don't buy cars, people buy people. And again, this speaks to the value that I teach and develop in people to create in themselves. One thing I can guarantee you, no matter how cheap you are, anybody who has done business with Alan Dickie, go ahead and give them the lowest price. They are not going to do business with you over me, right? Because the value of the relationship and experience I've created supersedes all. So to answer your question, I'm a fan of clay. I'm a fan of energetic individuals with great attitudes, and I will hold the responsibility of developing them into superior sales representatives.
That's great. That's great. What do you do, Alan, with that top sales performer that every showroom seems to have that sells north of 20 cars a month? You probably know where I'm going with this. Doesn't show up for the sales meeting, has got a terrible attitude among the rest of the staff. They just don't conform, but they sell you 20, 30 cars a month, and yet they just are just a complete problem. You know, whenever they're in and among the group, they realize, in a lot of cases, they realize their competition isn't down the road, it's within that very showroom, right? So they're very big on bringing everybody else down. What do you do with somebody like that?
What do you do with all cancers? You remove the tumor.
Even if the tumor's cranking out 30 cars a month?
Yeah, absolutely. Because while there's one perspective, you know, glass half empty, half full, one perspective is he's cranking out 20 or 30. But if I've got 10 other sales representatives that he's affecting to the tune of 3 to 5, I'm losing net 20 deals a month with this guy being there.
Right.
And so what I've come to find is this, is if you have a real star performer, the guys who do 40, 50, 80 cars a month, you can perform your way into special circumstance. One of the laws that I love in the stores I work with, if you do 25 cars a month, you come and go as you please. There's no schedule for you. You do anything you want. The second you do 24 and a half or less, you are back on the schedule with the rest of us for 30 days until you prove otherwise. So people can earn privileges, and I believe they're warranted. LeBron James probably has a parking spot at the Staples Center or wherever it is he plays. The second he stops putting the ball in the hoop as often as he does, they're going to say, LeBron, thanks for everything. No more locker for you. And he's gracefully going to exit.
Sure.
It's fun in our industry. We should just simply adopt the same.
That's right.
But the answer is nobody's above the team. And if you do have somebody like that on your floor, it is literally your ignorance on not knowing how to replace them and a team of them that would outperform 30 cars a month we're talking about.
Right.
That guy's got to go. That lady's got to go.
That's right. That's right. If the dealer wants change in a positive way, he's got to let you make those changes, right? I mean, every desk person and every sales manager and GSM listening to us is saying kudos to that, because so many times you'll see a dealer principal will say, hey, we want another 50 cars a month over and above what we've been doing. You've now got the job, but don't change anything, right?
It's a scarcity mindset. And I'll tell you right now, there's many dealers out there that you are going to have an easier time closing them on maintaining what they're doing before you ever close them on growth.
Right.
Right. So it's funny you mentioned that. What I think a lot of dealers can learn from, it's crazy. Why, as a dealer, would you expect your sales team members to get behind a game plan of growth in their careers, yet you as a dealer are afraid to take the same challenge on?
That's right.
If you look at a trapeze artist, if the trapeze artist in the circus never let go of the one bar to grab the next bar, there would be no show.
That's right.
And this is what a lot of dealers are doing. They're just swinging there, expecting change. And we know the definition of insanity is doing the same thing, expecting a different result.
So there's a lot of dealers up there just swinging, right? And they're not going to the next level, right? Because of that.
Yeah, those are the same ones who are saying, man, what are we going to do? The economy. The rest of us are hopping bar to bar to bar. The crowds are cheering, and we're just having a blast.
That's right. Hey, last question. I appreciate all the time you've given me, but with all that we saw with digital retailing and a lot of the, obviously over the years, especially since COVID, a lot of the sales process moving online, where more and more customers or prospects are doing so much more of the sales process online. While they might not be taking full delivery and having the car delivered to them like we thought they might have, 3 or 4 years ago, they still are doing a lot of the process, even the trade allowance, the trade situation, the financing, they know the payment before they get in, they know the color, the stock number, the whole deal, and they're using the dealership as a kind of a confirmation, an affirmation to go in and say, okay, let's go ahead and finalize the deal. That being said, are trained salespeople as important today as they were 10 years ago? Or is it more of a digital play?
Well,
I know I'm asking this.
Yeah, so I would say to you, last time I checked, I can go out and order a steak somewhere for $20, and I can go and order a steak for $1,000. I would also argue the place I pay $1,000 for the steak has been and will continue to be in business longer than the $20 guy. The message here is there can only be one Walmart. Let Walmart be Walmart. There can only be one cheapest toothpaste. There can only be one cheapest vehicle. This is not the game you want to be playing.
Yeah.
And if you just said it yourself, if we fully understand and are pouring copious amounts of marketing dollars into reaching people online, why wouldn't we do this at a grassroots level with a frontline sales team of 10, 20, 50 sales representatives, giving them a consistent approach to go out into the marketplace? So when the inherently selfish desires of the market, like, oh my God, my car broke down, I need one, shows up, they're reaching out to us because we've been delivering value when we had nothing to gain. When they come in off these cheap prices now, who's kidding themselves? They know they look like a walking T-bone steak, like a meal. And then here we've got sales representatives, unprepared at that, making insincere attempts at making friends to establish rapport. This is nuts. This is not the way to do it. And so to answer your question, yes, effective sales representatives will always be necessary if you want to move your business from Walmart to $1,000 steaks.
That's right. And I agree with you. There's no question. Last question. You're calling in from Toronto, Canada. Yeah. What do your fellow Canadians feel about us right now, especially with all that's going on with tariffs and such?
When we talk about how do we feel about you, let's keep it in the car business. For the most part, we are all the same. We're a lot of capitalist, conservative-driven thinkers that are here to deliver value to a marketplace and be rewarded appropriately for it. But again, just like in the States and in Canada, you've got some dealers that are sitting, shaking, biting their nails. What are we going to do? And then you've got the winners. You've got the rest of us who are committed to winning, understand there's new challenges ahead, and we're just figuring out new solutions for them so we can flourish. I was doing business, I won't say where, but I was doing business with a number of dealerships last month. I was probably in front of 12 different stores. One or two of them were, what are we going to do? And I told them what they needed to start doing, but change is the thing, isn't it? The other ones, we were all on the same page. Tariffs are coming into town. That's fine. COVID came into town before. That's fine. The need for the vehicle has not changed for the consumer in the marketplace. The only challenge is they're throwing at you, things are more expensive. All right, well, there's a way to deliver value in that scenario that still has the price or the value exceeding the price of the vehicle. So it's an art. There's definitely tons of opportunity there. And I want to remind your audience, this is no different. We've seen this before. We've seen COVID. We've seen everybody freak out. We've seen a select group lead, solve new challenges, and just experience levels of prosperity that to this day, we are the best we've ever seen. I think the same opportunity exists right now. And the idea is when you see the new challenge, instead of being lazy and weak and saying, things are more expensive, what are we going to do? Say, what new challenges, what new problems can we solve that make us valuable to the marketplace so we can earn and convert the business, because the vehicles will be sold. Perfectly said. I'm going to leave it right there. Alan Dickie, president of Alan Dickie Inc. If you're looking for a good sales trainer here in the States, then maybe it's right from Toronto. So thank you so much for joining us on the show. Very much appreciate it. Thanks for having me. I appreciate the time. Absolutely. Make it a great day. Great. Thanks.
Thanks for watching Inside Automotive with Jim Fitzpatrick.